This looks familiar. Home away from home. We're back at Rayburn. It's a Friday morning. There's about 10 of us here. It's early. It's 6:25. Sun up was about 6:12. Lake is high. Water temp's 82.5 degrees. Got a little bit of a breeze. It feels like maybe out of the southeast, but I'm not sure. I'll get around a point here. And we got some friends coming in this weekend. We should get a lot of fishing done. Hopefully we'll get some catching done too. But we come to Hogwalla. I come in last night. Sarah and the boys are coming in today. Like every time we come down here, when we come down every 5 months, something broke. The garage refrigerator was dead, so I spent the evening emptying smelly food out of the garage refrigerator. But we get to go fishing. I bet Rayburn's 140, 150,000 acres at this level. It scatters fish everywhere. We're gonna go fish a few hard spots. We're gonna fish some old grass lines, some old brush lines, and we're gonna do a little bit of flipping. So we're gonna look at a bunch of different stuff today just to kind of get a sense of what's going on for the weekend. So stick with me. Get past this guy so we don't wash him out. And by the way, for those of you not from East Texas, washing somebody is just like washing them in the rest of the country. That's a Dickie Newberry word, wash, W-A-R-S-H. I'm gonna wash him clothes. Great story, Dickie Newberry, he won one of the FLW tournaments he won. He come home every night, took everything he fished in, socks, underwear, shorts, and jersey, washed them all every night, so he wore exactly the same thing every day. I love that story. Let's go fishing. I gotta tell you, it comes up much more. We're doing the duck under the bridge again. I could literally see a school of fish swimming on perspective. That's crazy. And I pulled out here where they were. I could go back to them. He said, gimme, 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 gimme. Carolina rig. They are hard to get out of that stuff. That one thumped it and then released it and then thumped it again. That burn it. In the bushes, but they are not going to be easy to get out. We're going to get some big tactical gear here. That burn it. That's 2 bites right there in about 20 feet. I couldn't produce either one of them. That's alright. That's alright. We'll get it figured out. A little more hook on it. A little bit more hook. Be a little quicker to the trigger too. A little slow to the trigger on those two. Super line. Montreal, EWG. Well, that's my first pass flipping. I flipped about a 150-yard stretch there. Right at the very start of them, I had 5 bites. I didn't get any bites as I got more out. I had, none of them were in willow bushes. There were 2 in in cypress trees, and 3 just in buckbrush. First one I just missed him. It surprised me. Then I had one pull down, and I don't think I got a hook in that fish. And then I had another one that felt good. I kind of got warmed up, and I got a hook in that one, and I could not move that fish. Fish was probably 12 feet down in a really gnarly bush. And then I had one in a cypress tree, just thump it and swim out with it, and I missed that fish. So I am 0 for 5. That is not a good batting average early. And you know, when they're in these really deep bushes, you're always going to lose some fish, but man, that's awful. 0 for 5. So I'm going to ease over here and do the same thing over here to stretch where I've caught a bunch of fish before, and see what happens. Gosh, it's a lot of bites not to put fish in the boat, but they're down in that gnarly stuff. I do see now why guys are throwing moving baits in that shallow stuff early, because you can get them away from the bushes. They're coming out and getting them in the open water where they can catch them. So that makes sense. Still on there. He ain't very big, but he's still on there. I gotta tell you, man, that's some goop you get them down in that stuff. You just can't pull them. Those lines are brutal. I even lost him. Golly, it's unreal. That's 0 for 7. 0 for 7, Mom. I can't remember how to catch a fish. Anybody's fished with me has heard the story. The worst beatdown I've ever had in a BFL was right here. So the water was probably 4 or 5 feet high. It was pre-spawn. And I drew a big, heavy guy. Matter of fact, he couldn't stand up. He had to have a seat. He asked me for a seat. And I was flipping these bushes. Actually, Wesley Dawson and I were both in here flipping the bushes. And man, I was catching. I had caught a couple 6-pounders in here in practice on a warm day. And I just kept thinking them big ones would move up. And that big guy sat in the back seat. And you know, the boat would be about right here, and he would just turn and throw a wacky worm out there in the middle of the pocket. And about 9 o'clock, he said, "Hey, I believe I need the net." And it was about a 5.5 pounder. And I picked up a wacky worm and threw it for 5 minutes and put it back down. And I mean, I'm catching fish and catching fish and catching fish and catching fish. About an hour later, he goes, "Hey, I think I need the net again." Another 5 pounder, maybe 2 hours later. And I mean, he'll just throw it out there and just drag it. He ain't even moving. And over the course of the day, I probably caught 25 fish flipping. And I think I had 14 pounds, 13 pounds. I got a check, barely. And he won. I've had 3 co-anglers win out of the back of my boat. He had 4 fish that weighed just over 20 pounds. And every one of them came just sitting there holding that, shaking that wacky worm out there. 4 bites, caught all 4 of them. Amazing. Took a really, really long time to catch that first fish out of a bush, and honestly, he wasn't even really in a bush. He was on a piece of hardwood out away from the bushes. So I can't honestly say that I really caught one flipping in the bushes yet. Golly, he choked it. I mean, he choked that little prawn. So I switched hooks. You know, I've talked about this before. I really like a small hook. And when I'm flipping this deep stuff, and I like that really small hook because it, if you run a 5/0 hook through a fish's lip and there's that much hook sticking out of the backside, as you're reeling him out of that bush, there's every chance in the world that hook's gonna get hung up on a limb, and once that happens, you're done. It's the same reason I'm flipping fluorocarbon, so it doesn't bite into the limb versus braid. But what I did was, I just saw this hook. I don't know how long it's been out, but Sixth Sense has come out with this little hook right here, and I don't know if I can give you a sense of just how small. That's a 3/0, but it's a jungle hook. It's a flipping hook, and you can see against that prawn, it's a really small little hook. It's got a little bend back to the inside, and I got to tell you, since I've switched to that hook, I think I'm 3 for 3. So you know, there is something to having the right equipment. I will tell you what I do a little bit is I trim that prawn's backside down just a tiny bit right there, so that I don't have quite as much meat to pull that hook through. And I mean, when I say I trim it down a tiny bit, so that prawn's a little bit skinnier. And look, you're still gonna lose fish in these deep bushes. There's just no avoiding it. But the ratio's gone up dramatically since I switched hooks. So keep flipping it. I'm gonna lose more fish. I'm gonna eat my words, but I'm gonna catch more fish, I think, too. It's the first day I've ever used that little hook, and I'm already very impressed. You see, it's big enough for a prawn. It's big enough for any whatever you're flipping bait that you particularly like, and it's a super stout hook. And you know, being a smaller hook, it's even stouter because it doesn't have as much hook to bend. So anyway, Ken Smith's flipping tip for the day. By the way, that's the bush I just caught that last fish on. That's the through. Still a lot of hook poking through, but less than if it was a 5 on it. Way less than if it was a 5 on. Brought a little hay grass with him. That's literally the same bush. Flipped it back in the same bush, a little deeper. Same bush, a little deeper. It's just sort of a hard spot in the mouth of a drain. Trying to stay away from the grass where there would be dead grass right now. And he drilled it. Golly. Good little hook. There you go. Solid little fish. Fish is probably 16 inches long, but he don't weigh a pound and a half. Skinny, skinny. Skinny, skinny, skinny. On the Hogwalla. There's a lot of fish on the Hogwalla. You know they're little, but it's so much fun. I mean, it's just so much fun. I'm sure before the weekend's out, I'll back out and try to catch some bigger fish. But for right now, you can just come up here and catch them and catch them and catch them and catch them some more. The only thing is, I only think I brought 4 packs of prawns out. I think that's the second pack I've brought now. So you guys see, I caught a ton of fish that morning. I had to go pick up Jeff, my friend from Taos Resorts, who was coming, and we fished the afternoon together. I'll have that footage for you. And then on the next day, David from JSX Airlines joined us. So you're going to see we had a lot of fun, caught a ton of fish. What I will say to you is, and by the way, I was flipping 25-pound seaguar, and I think that's a big deal personally. Again, braid bites into those green branches really bad, and that 25-pound seaguar or any fluorocarbon slides over those limbs better. So I strongly urge you, when you're flipping green bushes, to stay away from braid, and you cannot break that 25-pound fluorocarbon. So what I was going to say to you there before I sidetracked myself was, there's kind of a dead zone out there where there used to be grass. I'm going to say it starts at about 14 or 15 feet of water out to 22 or 23, because the high water has basically drowned the grass. It can't get sunlight, and of course when grass dies, it gives off nitrogen, and those fish don't like that. So you're going to see I focused really shallow, and then on Sunday you're going to see we focused really deep. But we had a great time through basically that Nirvana prawn and the green pumpkin juice Hogwalla. That's that hook I was throwing, that OX hook. And there's links to all this stuff below. Make sure it's 6 cents. You use the link 1010. That'll get you a discount of 10%. And as always, if you'll shop through my link at Tackle Warehouse, they support the channel too, and that's really, really appreciated too, guys. So hope you enjoyed this. We got a lot of Rayburn fishing coming up over the next several days. Over the next week or so, I'll get these videos posted up. And we caught some better ones too, so stick around, and we'll take you all fishing some more on Rayburn. Thanks, guys.